Have you ever wondered why the relationships we value the most often crumble under the weight of our own egos? It's a curious conundrum, isn't it? The ego, that part of us that defines who we are, can turn into a destructive force when it comes to our relationships. Now, the ego isn't inherently bad. It's a critical part of our identity, helping us navigate our lives with a sense of self. However, it can become problematic when it starts to overshadow our ability to empathize and connect with others. Psychological theories, such as Sigmund Freud's theory of the ego, give us profound insights into this issue. Freud suggested that the ego is a crucial player in our human behavior, mediating between our primal desires and societal expectations. But when ego takes the driver's seat in our relationships, it can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and ultimately, heartbreak. Understanding the role of ego in our relationships is the first step in mitigating its harmful effects. So, what happens when the ego gets in the way of our relationships? Well, let's delve into the intricacies of this conundrum. Picture this. A relationship is like a delicate dance, a careful balance of give and take. But when ego steps in, it's like someone stomping into the dance floor with heavy boots, disrupting the flow and causing discord. Various psychological studies have explored the influence of ego in relationships. It's like a double-edged sword. On one hand, a healthy ego can inspire self-confidence and assertiveness. On the other, an unbridled ego can lead to power struggles, a lack of empathy, and miscommunication. We've all seen it, haven't we? That one person in a relationship who always has to be right, who always has to have the last word. That's ego, my friends, and it's not a pretty sight. Now, imagine the strain such behavior puts on a relationship. Constant power struggles create tension and breed resentment. When one person's ego dominates, it often leaves the other feeling unheard and unimportant. This imbalance can lead to dissatisfaction, and if left unchecked, it can be the catalyst for the eventual breakdown of the relationship. Ego can also hinder effective communication. It can cause us to misinterpret the words and actions of our partners, seeing them as attacks on our self-worth rather than expressions of their own feelings or concerns. This can lead to unnecessary conflict and hurt feelings, further damaging the relationship. Moreover, an inflated ego can stifle empathy, one of the key ingredients to a healthy relationship. When we're consumed by our own ego, we become less able to understand and share the feelings of our partners. This lack of empathy can make our partners feel isolated and unloved, driving a wedge between us. In essence, ego-driven actions can act like a slow poison, gradually eroding the foundation of our relationships. Numerous studies have shown that relationships where one or both partners have a high ego are less satisfying and more likely to end in dissatisfaction and separation. It's clear that unchecked ego can cause significant damage to our relationships. Now let's delve deeper into the destructive path the ego can carve in our relationships. From our previous discussions, we've established that ego, particularly when inflated, can be a silent killer of relationships. It can lead to a lack of understanding and empathy, causing us to become so focused on ourselves that we forget to consider the feelings and perspectives of others. Ego can also incite power struggles, as we may feel the need to always be right or to have the upper hand. This can create a tense atmosphere, making relationships feel more like a battleground than a safe haven. Moreover, an unchecked ego can breed overall dissatisfaction in relationships. It can make us feel unfulfilled, as if something is always missing or not quite right. However, there's hope. By fostering self-awareness and open communication, we can mitigate these issues. We can learn to check our egos at the door and truly connect with others. Ego, when left unchecked, can indeed ruin our relationships. But being aware of its influence and actively working against it can save us from a lot of heartache. So how can we overcome the destructive influence of ego in our relationships? You may wonder. Well, it's a journey of self-reflection, open communication, and empathy. It's about being honest with yourself, recognizing when your ego is taking the driver's seat, and consciously choosing to step back. Open communication is key. Talk about your feelings, your fears, your insecurities. Let your guard down. It might be scary, but it's necessary for growth. Remember that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say, I was wrong, or I need help. That's not a sign of weakness, but of strength. Empathy is the third pillar. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Try to understand their perspective, their feelings. This helps to dissolve ego, to create a bond that's based on mutual respect and understanding. Remember, managing our ego isn't about suppressing who we are. It's about creating healthier, more fulfilling relationships.